Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Nightmare Podcast. It is Friday, July 29th, 5 minutes to 8. SmackDown's about to air. And, we're about 24 hours away from what really looks to be an exciting SummerSlam. So, what I wanted to do with this is, of course, do my SummerSlam preview, who I think is going to win the matches, and just to piggyback some of off my last video that I did regarding Triple H becoming head of creative. So let's just get right into it. So, I was looking at a couple of things online, SummerSlam and everything, and I was seeing a few things that I just wanted to comment on. And one of the things was something that I had touched upon regarding Stephanie and Nick Khan about how this 50-50 is going to work because neither one of them have full control. So there was an article up that talks about why it was necessary for Stephanie and Nick to work together. So it says, Khan is expected to be in charge of the business end while Stephanie will be the public face of the company. They are said to be concerned about the pairing being a problem due to disagreements and neither one having full power to implement things. However, a person in WWE issued a comment stating, I actually believe this pairing is necessary. Nick is a revenue driver and he's been involved in things that are not his specialty. What he's good at, he's great at. Steph is a promoter, the old school promoter, with the new lexicon in media about analytics and branding. If Stephanie sticks to being a promoter, managing the relationships for the company, and Nick sticks to revenue, they're a formidable team. And this is courtesy of Dave Meltzer. So, and that's where I worry things could happen and trickle down and affect the creative side of things. Because, again, if you want to bring in The Rock and he commands a certain price tag, will Nick Khan say no? Because, again, we saw how Nick Khan just slashed through the roster, in 2021. Bray Wyatt's gone. Nia Jax is gone. Braun Strowman is gone. Just ramming through everything. They're letting all this other talent go that Triple H has signed for NXT. And, I saw the reports that, there was just a lot of backlog because, listen, nobody predicted COVID was going to happen. And nobody thought that, the world was literally going to shut down. So you couldn't do anything. So you had these guys in the contract that you just couldn't do anything with, So all those people went, and now, he's tightening the purse strings, and, there's still rumblings about them selling the company, and I just can't see that, because I just see them sell, if they sell WWE, I just see another WCW. You're going to sell it to somebody who is not going to have the same care and love for it, unless it's a person who is of a Steve Cohen, meaning Steve Cohen's the person who just bought the Mets from the Wilpons. And he had a passion for the Mets. He was a Mets fan since he was a childhood. It was his dream to own the Mets. If you have somebody who has been a fan of WWE, whose father has money or he or she has their own money from some business that they already started, but they've always been a fan of WWE, and there's like, what, if I could one day own it, I'll do it, that's a different story. But if another company comes and buys it, I don't know it will get the same love and care, and after a while, it would just be forgotten about. But anyway, a little bit of going off on a tangent there. But that's what I mean about not having full 50-50 control. So again, if Stephanie wants to bring in The Rock wants a certain price tag because now The Rock is not going to be negotiating with Vince. I mean, probably he would want to talk to him and probably pull him in. I can see that happening and things working. But let's take Vince out of it for a second. And let's say, okay, you're talking to Stephanie now. And now, okay, Stephanie, we're going to go talk to Nick. Well, Nick, this is what The Rock is looking for, yada, yada, yada. He says no. Now The Rock is offended. Rock doesn't want to do business anymore. That's the type of dynamic I'm talking about. Same thing with Brock Lesnar. I don't know what Brock Lesnar's contract is. I don't know after SummerSlam if he's done. I don't know. But let's say you want to bring him back for WrestleMania next year. Again, he's going to want a big price tag. Stephanie wants to bring him in. Triple H wants to bring him in. Nick says no. How do you work that dynamic out? How do you get to the same plane? Now, you could say, well, listen, Nick may not like the price tag, But again, if he's good with numbers and good with money, he knows, well, hey, if we do get The Rock for WrestleMania, we know tickets are going to sell great, and we know we're going to have the merchandise side of it, and that could recoup a lot of the cost that we're spending on him. So that is another way to look at it, but it's just it's just interesting how, yes, that is the concern that I'm not sure if a lot of people, meaning the fans, really thought about, because if you don't have 100% power and you have to work with somebody on a 50-50 basis, you have to agree on things. And I don't know, do you go to the board to be the tiebreaker? I don't know. But I just saw that something, an interesting tidbit, that's something I had mentioned, and then here's an article of them discussing it. Now, I had seen something else. I'm also watching the Yankee game, and Judge is on fire. He just hit his 40th home run of the season, 2-run home run. I thought Judge was nuts for not taking a contract from the Yankees, considering, yes, he's a good player, but let's be honest, if you're a Yankee fan, Judge gets hurt a lot. But you know what? He's bet on himself, and he's having a banging year. He's forcing the Yankees' hand to give him that contract. But anyway, back to what we're really here to talk about. Something else that I saw that was interesting was how an article stating that SummerSlam was going to be Triple H's test, his first test as creative. And I don't know if that's really fair. I think our judgment of Triple H should start on Monday. Now, remember, I said I didn't think they really changed much for SummerSlam because that stuff was already put in place. Maybe not too much with Clash of Champions next month, or, well, we're still in July. In September, but, definitely by, like, Survivor Series, you can change stuff. But it seems like from what, you read out there, Triple H is ready to jump in head on. He's definitely pumped and excited about it. As I mentioned, the guys in the locker room are excited about it. I would also surmise that his NXT guys. And that's one of the changes that I think we should all look for. What happens to guys like Ricochet, who looked like they were going to give him a run with the IC title, and, as JR would say, they let the air out of his tires. Will we see a change in Sami Zayn? Will we see a change in Kevin Owens? Will we see some changes in his NXT guys? Because Vince, they didn't turn Sami into a joke. Sami has done some compelling things, but, I just think, like, right off the bat, they just weren't used very well. And it's always been that thing about, well, if it's not Vince's creation, he doesn't give it the same love and care. And I know that's been refuted a lot, but I tend to agree with it. And I think the NXT guys is a great, idea of that, a great representation of that. So I'm curious what happens with guys like that. Look at Tommaso Ciampa. What the fuck are they doing with him? You know what I mean? So I don't think it's fair to say that SummerSlam is his test. Now, they did say that Triple H wanted to do something that was shocking, that, would really be like a big bang to the fans. But he didn't want to do it if it didn't make any sense. So what could that be? I don't know. Now, I did see something about, Goldberg coming back, and I could pretty much be sure that's not what it is. Okay? Could the surprise be that, Brock goes over and wins? Could the surprise be, Randy Orton comes back tonight and turns on, Riddle? Could the surprise be that, I think a lot of people think the Street Profits are going to win, but it's, but maybe the Usos are going to, win. But I'm trying to think, what would be that surprise? Would it be John Cena coming back? Would it be The Rock appearing? I'm trying to think, what would be that big surprise that he would really want to do to shock people? And I have no clue outside of The Rock showing up tomorrow night. I can't really, think of anything. And, well, I shouldn't say that. I should say behind The Rock showing up, to me, would probably be Brock winning. I just don't think they're going to go with Theory cashing in, because I think it's too soon for Theory to cash in. I don't see it. Now, yes, he has been made to look a fool a little bit. He's been getting his ass kicked, and yes, that's a good thing. You can say, listen, you guys have been jumping me and all this other stuff, but in the end, look what I got. I got the WWE Universal Championship, but I don't know. But I don't think we should be judging Triple H on this because this pay per view, this premium live event, sorry, was pretty much set in stone already. And now he's coming in at the tail end of it. Can he tweak things? Absolutely. But I don't think. I still, even if he does something, makes some sort of creative change, I still don't want to say, he made it better, he made it worse. I don't know. Because I think before Vince left, we already knew we were going to get a pretty good event. But it's just been heightened to the fact that now Vince is gone, and you feel like those restrictions he likes to put on there are gone. But I'm going to reserve my judgment of Triple H or start criticizing his reign after SummerSlam. And then maybe 3 months after, maybe I'll come on and do like a report card review of him or something like that. But I just don't think it's just the right thing to do. But he did say that, it's a new day, that, if people have issues, he wants them to come to them. And I believe that. And at the same time, Triple H is going to have his favorites. Vince had his favorites. That part's never going to change. People are going to have their favorites. But I still think Triple H will give that person he may not be crazy about, I still think he'll give that person opportunity and give them longer than, 2 or 3 weeks like Vince likes to do. I think one of the things that, Triple H will do is definitely give more time to the women. So I think we might see the women tag team titles finally come back into the picture. I even see that there's talk that Sasha and Naomi may be able to come back because since that old guard is gone, new people, Triple H will obviously have some of his people there. Again, that might, ease the waters a little bit and say, okay, we're not dealing with Vince, now we're dealing with Triple H, we're dealing with different people, let's see. So who knows? Those two could come back. Shit, that could be the surprise for all you know, that those two fucking pop up. And that would be pretty surprising if those two pop back up. But I think you'll see some fresh women's matches coming up. Like I said, Bayley's healed up, so she'll probably be back soon. It's just, like I said in the last video, it's just a very exciting time right now. And I think we have to be fair to Triple H, to not, crucify him for one thing you may not like. And I don't think you should overpraise him for something that he does great. Another change that they said that was going to be was that look for more longer storylines. And again, if you look back at NXT, there have been long storylines. Look at Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn down in NXT when they were in NXT. Look at Neville and Sami Zayn. Look at Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Look how long that feud, went on. So good examples there of if you are a follower of NXT, you have a pretty good idea of what you are going to see with Triple H at the helm. Now, another surprising thing that I saw was that they were saying some names that could be replaced, which was Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn. Now, I don't know much about Kevin Dunn, so I'm not really going to comment on him, but I was really surprised about that. Is it because Bruce would feel, caught in the middle that, he's a Vince guy? And, that's nothing different. It's nothing different than when a new manager takes over a baseball team or a new coach takes over a football team. You want your people around you. So maybe some of the people that Vince got rid of, if they're still available, Triple H can reach out and try to get back. Maybe Road Dogg might want to come back. And maybe, even though they've known each other for a long time, Triple H may feel, hey, Bruce is not my guy. Now, I don't think that's right in a sense because, you should never want to surround yourself with yes men. And I've always said, like, with some of these, childhood actors who end up, going nuts, later on in life is because there was nobody there to tell them no. They don't hear the word no. And then so they flip out when they hear it or they're not getting something what they want. And I think for Triple H just to add to, because I think he will be successful in this, but I think to add to that, I don't think he should surround himself with a bunch of yes men. I think you should keep some of Vince's circle there. You should keep your Michael Hayes, you should keep your Bruce Pritchards there. Because they can say, well, okay, but this. And I don't think they should use the phrase, well, Vince would have did this. But you can say, well, what about this and that? And then maybe you can find a marriage between the two ideas and have something great, you know? But that's my 2 cents on that. Let's get into the card for SummerSlam. Just let me pull that up really quick. But obviously, we can start with the big match, obviously, which is Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. And I'm going to tell you, that's a tough one because I can see Vince going with Brock Lesnar. Brock is the streak breaker. That's what Brock does. And it's funny. At this point, guys, I think you could say it's pretty much babyface versus babyface. I mean, have you seen the reactions that the Usos are getting? You've seen the reactions that Roman is getting? I mean, these guys are pretty much baby faces now. But I think it's a tough call. I'm still going to go with my gut and what I think. I'm not going to allow the fact that Triple H is there change my thinking. So, I think Roman is going to win. I think Roman should win. And the win needs to be definitive. And what I mean by that is, I don't remember which SummerSlam it was. I think it was SummerSlam 2016. SummerSlam 2016, I think, is when he wrestled John Cena, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena for the for the titles. And I'm just pulling that up right now because I don't remember. I think so. I think 2015 was Taker and I should have been a little bit more prepared here. So my apologies for not being as prepared as I should have been. But let's see. Brock Lesnar. No, 2016 was Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton. But I think SummerSlam 2015 was okay, so SummerSlam 2015 was The Undertaker. Was it 2014, was it? No. Oh yeah, it was. Okay. I'm sorry, it was 2014. So, right, because that was right after WrestleMania. Right, because that was after WrestleMania 30, and that's pretty much when he won on his tear. So I do apologize. So yes, so it needs to be reminiscent of that match of SummerSlam 2014, where it was Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, where Brock Lesnar completely destroyed John Cena. And then as you saw the next pay-per-view, Vince sort of had, cold feet about doing that, and he kind of wanted to even it out some. But what I mean about definitive is that when you saw that match, Brock Lesnar beat the shit out of John Cena. And that's what Roman has to do. Now, to a degree, you're giving Brock a bit of an out because it's a last man standing match, which means you can use weapons, all that kind of stuff. Usos can interfere, whatever. But what I want to see a bloody Brock Lesnar laying in the mat, completely decimated, whether it's 50 chair shots, 20 kendo sticks, steel steps to the back of the head, whatever, choke him out, and then beat him with the chair. You can do that. I think to help solidify is probably not the best word, because I think for you to solidify this whole bloodline storyline, that has to end with The Rock. But I think to put that point that Brock's time is done, because really after this, what do you do with Brock? Okay, yes, Brock is there as an attraction. I get it. Can you go back to the Brock and Bobby thing? You could, but you really need a good reason to do that. Do you really want to see Brock versus Austin Theory? You kind of know that's gonna, you kind of know how that's gonna end. Probably the one thing that is left out there, because he's campaigned for it so much, maybe the one last match, excuse me, that is out there for Brock is Brock versus Riddle. Other than that, I don't see what the point is of bringing Brock back after this. Who is Brock going to work with that realistically could beat him? He's done Drew McIntyre. He's done Bobby Lashley. He's done Roman Reigns I don't know how many times. He's done Seth Rollins. Do you do Brock versus Omos? What do you do with Brock? That's why, to me, it doesn't make sense for Brock to win tonight. Tomorrow night. It doesn't make sense. It's 8:15. SmackDown's on. I guess I can switch this to see really quickly, who they're kicking the show off with. But Roman needs to win tonight, and it just needs to be that definitive, Brock, you are done. I'm the conqueror. I conquered you. The beast has been slayed. We're done. And then Brock can go away and I guess find something for him to do come WrestleMania if you're going to have him around for WrestleMania. But looking beyond SummerSlam, I don't know what else there is for Brock to do. Who else is there for him to face? We're not going to go back to the Goldberg stuff. So you tell me on that roster who else he could go to besides Riddle. And I only say Riddle because Riddle has been campaigning for it. And they had the little skirmish in Royal Rumble, and that was the closest that you got to anything. And I don't even know if that's going to happen because Brock, for whatever reason, doesn't like Riddle and doesn't want to do anything with him. And I think going forward with this new future, I don't think you need Brock anymore. And as much as I love The Undertaker, I don't think you need The Undertaker, although I still think we'll get one more match out of him. But I love The Undertaker. But you don't need him. What's he going to do? Do you still need John Cena? The Austin Theory stuff, even Cena, you would kind of really have to pick your spots. But I could probably see more use out of Cena than Lesnar. And then The Rock, to me, the one match left for The Rock is Roman. We don't need to see Rock versus Cody. We don't need to see Rock versus Drew. We don't need to see Rock versus Bobby Lashley. We don't need to see John Cena versus Sami Zayn again. We don't need to see John Cena versus Bobby. I don't know. Could you get something out of Drew McIntyre versus John Cena? Maybe. I mean, I'm reaching a little bit here, but for the stuff for John, but definitely for Brock, there's nothing left. To me, that well has run dry. I just switched to SmackDown, but it's on commercial. The well has run dry with Brock. So I am going Roman Reigns winning. I would be surprised if they had the Usos pop in there to help him out. But I say you battle around the arena, get him in a chokehold, beat him down. Similar to what Seth did with The Fiend and Hell in the Cell. He just kept hitting him with stuff and throwing stuff out. That's what you got to do to Brock. And that will be definitive. Make Roman look so strong, stronger than he looks now, and that there is nobody who's going to take this title from him. Nobody. And then that helps negate the fact of Theory coming in to cash in. So that's my prediction for Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. I'm going Roman Reigns. Next match, it's 8 matches on the card. The next one, we're going to go Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch. I believe Bianca Belair is going to retain. I still think they want to give us that Bayley versus Bianca match. So, and afterwards, if Becky wins, who would Becky face? I mean, I think we've pretty much seen enough of Becky versus Asuka. That's pretty much been shoved down our throat. I think we've actually seen enough of Bianca versus Becky. I'm kind of hoping this is their last match for a while. Do you want to see Becky versus Alexa Bliss? I mean, that match doesn't really scream out to me like must see. I think you'll get a lot more with Bianca and Bayley because that was a match we were supposed to get at the Money in the Bank last year. I think there's still some clamoring for that match. So I'm going Bianca Belair over Becky Lynch on this one. Oof, this is another tough one. Tag team match for Undisputed Championship. Jeff Jarrett, special guest referee. Usos versus the Street Profits. You see, I don't think if the Usos lose, I don't see it hurting them as much as it would if Roman Reigns is losing now. And as much as I want to see the Street Profits win, I think you got to keep the bloodline whole. You got to keep the belts on them. And I think with Triple H there, they'll give you a lot of good, different tag teams to face them. Now, that's going to be hard because the question is, what is the next tag team to face them? We've done the New Day 100 times. Okay. The Viking Raiders, well, you could probably go to Viking Raiders because, like I said, the Usos are pretty much baby faces. So if you're going to make them baby faces, I guess they could go against the Viking Raiders. But I mean, does that match, scream must see? Not to me. Let's say Randy comes back tonight. I don't think he will, but let's just say Randy comes back. Do you give RK Bro another run at them and let that lead to the breakup of Riddle and RK Bro? Because I think even Triple H sees, that's a WrestleMania match right there. But I'm gonna stick with the Usos, going over them. Again, who would be that tag team, the next tag team to face them? I don't know. With the Street Profits, you can do Viking Raiders, you can do Alpha Academy. I can't even think of any more tag teams. That's how bad the tag team division is. I can't even think of any more. But I'm going with the Usos. Next match. This one's a bit of a surprise to me. The Mysterios versus Judgment Day. And if you remember one of the other videos where I was doing the early prediction for SummerSlam, I was thinking we were going to see Rey Mysterio and Edge, versus Damian Priest and Finn Balor, or Finn Balor versus Edge. With them, with somebody at everybody's corner. I'm a little surprised at this. And, they said Edge was supposed to come back at Madison Square Garden for a reason that didn't happen. Maybe Edge will return tonight at SummerSlam. The interesting thing about this that I thought would be pretty cool is that I do think it's time for Dominic and Rey to split. And, I certainly think what you could do with this is have Dominic turn on Rey tonight. I keep saying tonight. Have Dominic turn on Rey tomorrow night, and that could lead to Edge returning because Rey could come out on Raw and say, Dominic, what are you doing? All this stuff. Judgment Day beats down Rey. Edge comes out for the save. And now you have a tag match for your Castle pay-per-view of Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Finn Balor and, Dominic. Actually, I would kind of like to see something like that happen because I think the way they've been using Rey and Dominic right now, I think it is time for them to split up. And if you want to make Judgment Day, mean something because you did sort of, pull the rug out from under them by making the switch so quickly from Edge to Finn Balor. But I'm going to go with Judgment Day winning tomorrow night, and I am going to predict a Dominic heel turn on that one. Next match is Pat McAfee versus Happy Corbin. I touched on this in the early prediction, podcast episode. This is purely an entertainment match. It does not benefit McAfee if he beats Corbin. It doesn't benefit Corbin if he beats McAfee. To tell you the truth, I know I will be entertained, but as far as who wins, I really don't give a shit. If memory serves me correctly, I really don't want to count that Vince McMahon thing. But I believe Corbin's wrestling career, he is 2-1. He beat Adam Cole, he beat Theory, and he lost to McMahon. You know what? I can't even tell because it can really go either way, and I'm just going to leave that one as a toss-up because, I hardly care about the match, and I just, it does nothing for anybody, So purely entertainment, and that's just going to be a toss-up. It really doesn't matter to me who wins that match. Okay, you know what? I guess if you're going to twist my arm, if you were to twist my arm on it, I guess I would say... McAfee, I guess. Because I think that would make the fans happy if McAfee won. Another tough one. Bobby Lashley versus Theory. Do you put the U.S. title back on this kid? Now, that could go back to the 50-50 booking that Triple H wants to start to avoid. So you took the title from Theory. Do you now want to take? Do you want to give Theory his win back? Do you want to give Theory a reason to look a little bit stronger because he's been pretty much getting his ass kicked, from the the Usos super kicking him and him just sort of getting everybody's nerves, AJ Styles and all that. That is a tough one with Bobby Lashley Theory. That's a tough because I could see both ways. I could see Theory winning the United States Championship, but not walking out with with it, cashing cashing in his Money in the Bank. That is hard. I think Theory wins, but I think he wins by disqualification. I don't think he gets the U.S. title back. I think Bobby's keeping it. I'm going Theory by DQ, but doesn't get the title. Next match, SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey. Again, Ronda's supposed to be, they're both baby faces in this. I don't know if they're slightly trying to turn Ronda heel. I have no idea. But to me, for this match, Liv needs to turn heel. For me to realistically believe that she has a shot at beating Ronda Rousey, I need to see, low blow, dust in the eye, something, some underhanded tactic for Liv Morgan to win. So unless Liv Morgan is going to turn heel, I'm sorry, I'm going with Ronda Rousey. And it's a little tough because I know I said I wasn't going to let Triple H influence me. I definitely know if Vince was there, I really feel that Ronda would win. But I think Liv needs to turn heel in order to win this. And if Liv is not turning heel, it's Ronda. So I guess in a way I'm picking both, depending on the situation. So for me, Liv only wins if she turns heel. If not, I think it's Ronda Rousey. And the last match that I got is the Logan Paul versus The Miz match. I think Logan Paul wins by disqualification. I don't think we're going to get a clear winner here. I think this is something that WWE can stretch until WrestleMania. So that's what I'm going with. So that's my predictions, guys. Those are my picks. So I'll just run through them one more time. For the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar, I'm going Roman Reigns. For Bianca Belair Becky Lynch match, I'm going Bianca Belair. For the tag team match, Usos and Street Profits, I'm going the Usos. For the for the Judgment Day versus the Mysterios, I am going with the Judgment Day winning with Dominic turning heel. The Pat McAfee versus Happy Corbin, as I said, I could care less, but I think they know the fans want to see Pat McAfee win. I think they'll give that to them. I'll pick Pat McAfee. Bobby Lashley and Theory, I think Theory will win by disqualification, but Bobby holds on to the United States Championship. Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey, I think it'll be Ronda Rousey. I only pick Liv Morgan. I only see Liv Morgan if she turns heel. So if we get a Liv Morgan heel turn, she wins. If we don't, to me, Ronda wins. And for the Logan Paul versus The Miz, I think Logan Paul wins by disqualification or count-out. I can see Miz just walking away. Or does Tommaso Ciampa play a role in this? That's a tough one. Because, AJ Styles is sort of going to be mixing this too. So this is what I'm going with. I'm going with The Miz. I'm going with Logan Paul winning by disqualification. I don't think anybody's going to win by a pinfall. But I do foresee in the future an AJ Styles and Logan Paul versus The Miz and Tommaso Ciampa. I see that in the cards. But that's what it is, guys. Those are my predictions. Definitely leave your comments with me if you agree or disagree with me. Um, definitely enjoy um, definitely enjoy the live event. I'm definitely going to, and I will be back on after SummerSlam to give my review, see how many I get right, see how many I get wrong. And here's one other note. I used to, I stopped paying attention to this a long time ago. But one of the ways that you used to know or be able to tell who was going to win the match at a pay per view is that when they put the graphic up. So let's say it's you know Brock Lesnar versus. Let's take the Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. So if you're facing the TV, okay, when they put the graphic up, Brock is on your right. So usually it was the person who was on your right who won. Once in a while, they'll throw a curveball that wasn't it. But mostly, I would say 90% of the time, the person who was on the right of the graphic was the person who won the match. Now, I stopped paying attention, so I don't know if it's still that way or not. But I did notice that the graphic of Brock was on the right. So does that mean that Brock is going to win? I noticed that Bianca and Becky was on my right. Does that mean Becky's going to win? I also noticed that Logan Paul and The Miz was on my right. Does that mean that The Miz is going to win? So that's something else I'm going to pay attention to see if they're sticking to that formula. But, that was something, that's how, my friends and I used to know who was going to win. Now, I don't know if they did that on purpose. That was just a coincidence, but let's see if that's what happens. But I haven't paid attention to the other graphics. Actually, I think the Street Profits are on the right too, on the right side as well. But I will. We'll see if that's still the case now. Now in 2022. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Enjoy the rest of SmackDown. I'm gonna finish watching the Yankee game. I'm DVRing SmackDown. I'll probably just flip back and forth to see what's happening. But right now, my interest is a little bit more in the Yankee game. So enjoy SummerSlam. Again, leave your comments, subscribe, let me know what you think. I want to hear all your thoughts, good and bad. And I will talk to you after SummerSlam. Enjoy.